going to be a whiner for just a second. I'm one of those people who doesn't have enough hours in the day. I'm really not trying to whine about that. The truth of the matter is, it's just how things are, and a lot of us know it to be true. We just don't have the time that we want. I managed to get interested in something in terms of a video that somebody pushed out there. One of the things that I really hate about a lot of the cell phone and similar platforms these days, where they push a bunch of stuff at you that's really nonsense that you shouldn't be paying attention to. Well, I got myself interested in something that somebody was saying, and I hope I'm not as horribly bad as the person I recently had the misfortune to randomly see a video from. The person was talking about something I really didn't care for all that much, but it was something that at least I had a little bit of an interest in. And the thing is, when it was all said and done, I watched the video from the beginning to the end, and I found that the whole thing was a terrible diversion that said nothing about what it was that that person was supposedly intending to talk about. I'm reminded of many politicians, social media figures, and media figures who tend to do the same. Hello and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Saturday, the 20th of February of 2021. Excuse me, not December. Don't know why that came to me. Thank you for visiting, if you're doing so on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, or frankly anywhere else. And the subject today is on topic. I think for a lot of people, it's maybe an accidental thing. They start thinking they're going to talk about a particular thing, and they don't. This video that I'm talking about, what happened was the individual said that they were going to talk about another person, what another person had said. And I had not seen anything from that individual on the subject at hand, even though it wasn't what I consider a super important subject, like I say. But I thought, well, okay, let's see what he says about this. Let's see what his answer to what people have said about this is, because it was a topic that is garnering a certain entity an amount of political heat by virtue of the fact that people are beginning to sort of say, nah, I don't think I'll have anything to do with them if they're going to do this or that thing. And the individual in question is a great deal more prolific than a great deal more prolific than you realize. He's out there a lot. He had to do with a bunch of different things. And this is entertainment-related stuff, but it's sort of political. But the point is that the guy who did the video on this basically put up a couple of images of the individual in question and never even quoted him, much less used a video that actually had him talking about what it was that he was supposed to be talking about, that he was supposed to be covering. And so I'm looking at this and I'm going, why did you bother to put this video out? And there's two things about it. Number one, I downvoted his video, and I virtually never downvote a video. We have a difference of opinion? Okay, we can have a difference of opinion. But when you put a video out there that says, I'm going to talk about this, and you don't talk about that at all, I'm probably going to downvote your video if I happen to be unfortunate enough to see it. The other thing is, I'm pretty convinced that this individual had no idea that they'd basically taken 10 or 15 minutes of my time and not even talked about the thing that I wanted to talk about. And as I say, look, I'm sorry, I'm time limited. I don't have the time for that. Some people, I think, though, are doing it on purpose. In fact, I don't think. I'm virtually certain they're doing it on purpose. They literally will talk about almost anything but the subject they're supposed to be discussing. In fact, what they'll do a lot of times is use their platform to divert you away from the thing that you're wanting to pay attention to. Now, look, I recognize that you might periodically find a video or a article or a podcast where somebody talks about something and it turns out that they diverged from whatever it was that they said they were going to talk about. And frankly, maybe you're even more interested in the thing that you get as a result. I get that. But for me, I would tend to downvote that anyway, if I had a mechanism to do it, if I had a way to thumbs down that particular thing. Just because they didn't talk about what they said they were going to talk about, and that's what I came to them for. I think a lot of people are using this whole thing as a defensive mechanism to keep you from really thinking about the subject or talking about the subject, or for them to have to discuss the subject because they know they're going to be put on the spot if they do. Right? I think so. A lot of them that are using it for a defensive mechanism. But the point of all of this is this. If you put a video out there if you take the time to write an article, if you do a podcast and you say something and the thing that you say, you put a subject or whatever, which most everything does these days, because that way you know what it is that you're looking at so that you don't waste a lot of time looking at stuff that you don't care about. And you put a subject and then you say something totally different than what you put on the subject of that piece. I got news for you. That's not just not okay. It's a total waste of a lot of folks' time. And if you find me doing that, I want you to call me out. I'm literally willing to be negative rumbled or thumbs down or whatever, because I didn't talk about what it was that I told you I was going to talk about. And for those of you who think that people out there don't recognize things like what Dan Bongino and I think Ben Shapiro and others call Republicans pounce, where what you do is you talk about the flip side of something, you talk about what the opponents to a particular thing are saying as opposed to talking about what's actually happening, I promise you people notice. Now that's sort of an aside. The real subject is that you talk about things that people don't care about. When you say you're going to talk about things that they care about. So you put something out there that says, oh, this and such happened, and then you don't talk about that. This is the thing that I have a problem with, and this is the thing that I'm trying to address today. And I want for you to think about that too. I want for you to think about the idea that you went somewhere and wasted your time looking at something where somebody talked about something other than what he or she said he or she was going to talk about. Whether it was in print, whether it was, again, a blog that somebody wrote, whether it was a video or whether it was a podcast or whatever it happened to be. The thing is, when somebody talks about something that you don't care about, and they do it once, you might just ignore it. I get it. On the other hand, you might downvote it just to show them your displeasure that they took your time when you really probably didn't have the time to spend on that if you're like me. And then there are entities who do this on an ongoing basis. And I'm here to tell you, the first answer to that is to, in my opinion, is to stay away from them. It's to stop looking at or listening to those individuals. Now, I see some of them anyway because other people bring them up, or I just happen to see them when they say things, right? But I'll just tell you that my answer to most of them is I'm not going to downvote you because I'm never going to see you. If you won't do what you say you're going to do in terms of what you're talking about, however you're doing it, you need to know that people like me are going to stop paying attention. But here's the bad thing. And this is why part of the reason that I'm putting this out here. There are a lot of people out there who they keep going back to the slop. They keep going back to the slop. And those people, I'm trying to get you to understand that some people are just not very bright and not able to do what it is that they're supposedly doing, right? Okay, I get it. But when they do that, why do you continue to pay them attention? Again, unless they say something that's interesting to you. And maybe this is the problem, right? Is that there are people out there who are interested by the things they're diverted by. Ooh, shiny, right? And don't get me wrong. I have been that person who was diverted by that thing that was shiny or whatever. But when you have people who consistently say things and do things that are not in line with what they told you they were going to say or do when they started out what they were saying and doing, and they're out there passing their stuff off to the world, I absolutely not admonish, but adjure you, look, don't waste your time on that stuff. Time is precious. As you get older, you begin to realize that time is precious. You can't waste your time paying attention to people who say they're going to talk about one thing and talk about another. Again, look, I see people like Dinesh D'Souza, and Dinesh will seem like he's going off onto tangents, and then he'll bring it back around to where he wants to go. And that's great. That's fine. To what he's talking about, the original intent of the thing. I also get that there are people who talk about multiple subjects when they do a video or whatever. And so you know that they're going to actually talk about multiple things, and you may find that everything they talk about is worth your time or effort. So I get that. But I'm talking about when somebody says specifically, I'm going to talk about this, and then doesn't. I do everything I can to not waste my time on those individuals. I'm sorry, I just do. All right. I need to wrap this up. It's getting time. Again, today is Saturday, the 20th of February of 2021. Thank you for visiting the Daily Summation today. Hope that I've said something that you find worthwhile, worth your time and effort. We're starting to warm up here. Hope things are working that way for you as well. Tomorrow will be Sunday, the 21st of February of 2021. I'm going to try and get another Daily Summation video out tomorrow. And hopefully we will see you when that happens. If we don't, I understand. People have busy lives. But as I say, hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Saturday, February the 20th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.